Hi, I'm Peter Rowlett.
And I'm Katie Steckles, and we have a special guest with us today who's brought a mathematical object.
I'm Christian Lawson-Perfect, and I have brought a Correntator.
A Correntator?
Yep.
Is that double R, single N?
Single N, yeah. It's a small leather-bound book, I think it's leather, with a metal machine inside.
Wow, this is beautiful.
And it's got pounds, shillings, and D written on it. Do you pronounce that pence? You pronounce it as
Yeah, you say pence, I think, yeah.
And it's patent, and it's also foreign.
It literally says the word foreign on it. That's wonderful.
It does.
Yeah, it just for reference, it says Correntator in huge letters across the top as well, which is just charming.
Is this my compass?
The foreign is tiny. What is the foreign referring to?
Foreign patent, maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe there were some rules about...
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's old, is what we're
It's
saying.
old, it's foreign.
There's a clue in the pounds, shillings and pence, really.
Yeah, and it correntates. In the middle, it's got several tracks that I can stick a little pin in. Originally, it came with a stylus, which I didn't get when I bought it. And next to the tracks are marks for, first of all, quarters of a penny, then pennies, then shillings, then pounds. And on the inside cover are some instructions for use, which say that I can add or subtract amounts of money.
So let's start with, how did you get this object?
How did I get it? I went to Tynemouth Market near Newcastle. They have like an antiques market. And this was just sat on one of the stalls. And I thought, that looks vaguely mathematical. And I paid less than the guy wanted originally for it, so I feel like I didn't get a bad deal. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. It definitely, it certainly attracts. There's something about it that's... So are we looking at a sort of place value system? I don't really understand shillings and pence.
Yeah, well, we can work it out from here. I think pounds work, it's in decimal. The track goes from 0 to 9 for each place.
And there are 6 tracks, which is 6 places.
Yeah, so we could go up to 999,999.
Sure.
Shillings, there are 20 shillings in a pound, and there are 12 pence in a shilling.
So the pence one goes up to 0 to 11.
Yep.
Yep, because as soon as you get to 12, that's 1 shilling.
Yep.
And then the shilling one goes 0 to 9 with a 0 and 1 separate. So you have 1 and 3 for 13.
Yep. So let's get some premium audio now.
He's going to correntate something.
I'm going to correntate right onto it.
I see.
I'm going to go for £7. The way I do that, I stick my pin in the little gap of the track next to number 7 and drag it all the way down. And a little display at the top has just moved down to show me digit 7.
So originally they were all, there are 6 for pounds, 2 for shillings and 2 for pence, and they were all zeros.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you say a display. I guess that's how you would think of it, but it's
displaying.
essentially a hole in the metal sheet
a hole
that
through
you can
which
see a number through.
Yeah. Cutting edge technology for the time. I'm going to add on 5 shillings and went up 8 pence. So at the top I can read off that I've got £7, 5 shillings, 8 pence. Now the clever bit about the Correntator is it lets me add things. One of the variations on this thing is called an addiator. Can you guess what it does?
Is it
88s.
Is it for addition?
It's for addition. This is, because I said it was foreign earlier, it was designed in Germany, I think. And in Germany they already had decimal money. They were way ahead of us. So it was much simpler. So the addiator is basically just the same thing, and it's just completely decimal. But here, so I've got 8 pence, and suppose, who wants to give me some money?
Well, if I were to give you another 2 pence.
2 pence, okay. So the rules say, insert pointer in number required and move downwards to foot of column. When number required is opposite the red section of slide, move upwards and over the left as diagram. Little diagram of an up and a left and a down.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm laughing only because you said rules rather than instructions.
It's a game.
It is a game,
It's
right.
a game. Right, but 2 currently is still white, so I can drag that down, I think. So I've now got 10 pence.
Okay, so you've pulled it down by 8 in order to set it initially, but
Yep.
you've then just put it back in at 2 and dragged it down a further
Yeah.
2 spots.
Yeah.
And it
so,
now says 10.
Yeah, so where I put the mark in has just basically limited how far down I can pull it until the end of the track.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, can you give me some money, please?
Well, I'm fascinated by what happens when you get over
Yeah, I was just doing a simple one to start with.
I
So.
want to deal with the overflow error, right?
Yep.
So let's give you another 3 pence.
Okay, so we're going to get a carry now, because 13 pence is more than 12 pence. The 3 now is coloured in red. Is that red still? I don't know if it's still red, because I'm colourblind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
okay,
red,
cool.
yeah.
Right. So what I have to do with red is, instead of going down, I go up over the top, and there's this funky little hook thing, which drags me over to the next track.
Nice.
And when I pull down, that just pushes the next track along by one.
Yeah, it's like a
Place.
physical carry.
It's a
Like you
physical.
just go over the top and you pull
Yeah.
the one to the left down slightly as you go.
So you sort of you grab the 3 with your pin, you took it all the way up to the top, and then over onto essentially the
Yeah.
next column, almost.
Yeah. So I think this would now be called £7, 6 and 1.
Yes.
The Correntator has one remaining feature, which is that part of this display was in fact a little flippy panel.
That was very dramatic.
The bottom half of the
Each
display
of the
there,
number lines, yeah.
it had a plus next to it, and I've flipped that over, so now the whole thing is for subtracting. The numbers on the tracks go the other way now.
Right.
Right?
So I'm going to have to guess, pay one of you something. Who do I owe money
Right.
to?
So you're going to subtracate now.
I'm going to subtracate.
I don't know what that's called, but yeah.
It's the subtractiator. Okay, so let's say that I owe Katie, I guess, 5 pence.
I mean, you do, but
I?
let's imagine.
Okay.
Okay.
So the rules for this are it's the same as before, but everything's going the other way, and the hooks are at the bottom end now. If you remember, I've got 1 penny, so 5 is going to cause me to do a carry. So I'm going to drag this 5 all the way down, and then I have to do a little hook, and that has moved up this time on the next track, which is decremented, that track. So I have £7, 5 and 8.
Right.
So there you go.
Lovely.
So there's obviously some kind of mechanical stuff going on inside, and I can imagine what it looks like, because there's like the front layer has just got the numbers on. There's a layer behind that that's got the little holes that you put the pin into.
Yep.
And you push those up and down. There's obviously some little tracks there with holes for each of the numbers. But I just love the fact that it all just works. Like the mechanics of it, it just fits together. And when you go over the top and kind of hook over onto the next one, it pulls the physically next strip of thing down. It's really clever.
Yeah. I think are there little cogs somewhere? When I'm in the carry digit, I must be moving 2 bits of the thing at once. Oh no, it's just the carry part is part of the next track along.
Yeah, you can see that there's the 2 bits move independent of each other if you slide them
If
separately.
I dared pull this apart, I would probably see. Yeah, and there's no like cogs or anything. I don't even think.
No.
I think it's all just bits of metal moving up and down along tracks.
Yeah. Is it quite smooth? It's not like...
Yeah. Do you want to go?
It doesn't feel like it's years and years old. Have you any idea how old it might be?
I have a feeling it was 30s. I think they were made up until the 30s, certainly.
Yeah, that feels pretty smooth. It doesn't feel like it's rusted or anything. Yeah. That is so cool. I mean, I really like old metal things because it's just fascinating to see how things used to work. I just wonder if this was like a thing that was widespread, or if this was just a curiosity, or was it actually used in practice?
I've looked it up, and there are enough variations of this that they must have sold quite a few. And I can see how it would be useful.
Yeah, so I mean, this is decades pre-calculator. You can get, at this era, adding machines, which are expensive, big boxes that companies might have.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're, I don't know, because there are some things you can just do on pen and paper in your head or something like
But
that. If you're running a market stall or something,
Yeah,
it'd be
trying
worth
to
having one of these.
Balance your household accounts, maybe, sort of adding up all your...
You think it's in every
ins and
home
outs.
should have one, sort of.
It feels like it. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
a business thing.
I mean, I guess it's all doing things that it's reasonably easy to just actually do in your head. And for me, the novelty of it is that, look, I've got 7 and I'm adding another 7. Oh, it says 14. That's what I was expecting it to say. But, you know, if you want to check you're working, I guess, if you're doing lots of additions, it's...
I think in Germany, this made even less sense because they were decimal, and sort of adding and subtracting is quite easy.
But you could do some
But,
very complicated stuff with this,
Yeah,
right?
for lots of
Yeah.
people it's not easy, I guess. In old British money, it makes even more sense because doing those sums is hard, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, I think because also you can add like a complicated amount, so you could, we were just doing like add 4 pence, but you could add 3 shillings and 4 pence, and you could do that by doing I guess you'd do the pence first, and then you'd work your way along and carry upwards.
Thanks to commutativity of addition. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right, it's got one last feature.
Okay.
I said there was one last one. When you're finished correntating,
Right.
and you need to reset it back to 0, I haven't got time to drag each of these tracks back to 0. There's a little lever at the top. Peter, do you want to give it a go? Give it a good old whammy.
Oh, so that's pulled out of the top and dragged everything back to 0.
Yeah, it's like a little handlebar across the top of it that slides all the way
The
upwards.
metal machine can come out.
Yeah.
So as it went up, I think it caught each of the tracks and just sort of pulled them along.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
that's so satisfying. I love it. Yeah. So is this a hobby for you now, collecting ludicrous old calculation machines?
I mean, I only own this because I don't own a Curta calculator.
Everyone wants a Curta. That's the dream, isn't it?
Tell us about a Curta then.
Curta is, so this is an Amstrad. A Curta is a supercomputer. It's a Curta is this beautiful little barrel-shaped handheld.
Sorry, it's just the way that you did that for all the people who understand what an
I'm
Amstrad
visualising it so that I can better describe it to you. It's a little barrel-shaped handheld device with a little lever handle on the side.
Yeah.
You drag numbers down on the outside. It's got tracks for different digits, like this does, but it does like multiplication and division and stuff.
So I think you like crank it round to add another copy of the number you've put in. Or
it's
something
all
like
clockwork inside, so it can do way more stuff. And they're fantastic. They were made first in the 1930s by this guy Curta, and then during the war, he saved a lot of Jews by getting them to work in his factory and basically giving them much better conditions than the Germans really wanted them to, and put lots more people to work on this thing. So it's got all that going for it, but then it carried on being made until the 70s because it was still useful up until the invention of the electronic pocket calculator. So they're incredible. I had a chance to buy one before anyone realised how cool they were. And I didn't, because back then that amount of money was a lot to me, and now they go for, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of hundreds. Yeah.
No, I remember I used to, when I was at uni, in the maths department, we found a cupboard in one of the rooms that had some really nice old calculation machines in, and we were kind of like, oh, this is beautiful.
I guess Manchester would.
We carefully lifted them out of the cupboard and just tried some things. I think this is great, and it had, it looked like a tiny little, like a cash register, like an old school cash register with the displays on the front, and it had a handle that you cranked and you could put numbers in and crank it. We thought this was absolutely fascinating, and we were like, oh, reverently put it back away in the cupboard. And a couple of years later, they put them in display cases in the maths department. We were like, oh, they were really okay. We just played with it, found it in the cupboard. But there's all these like early technologies that were doing these arithmetic things, but like simple processes like arithmetic, if you're just doing addition and carries and things, you can mechanize that. But you wonder how complicated they get, because you get ones that do multiplication and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, you get all sorts of mechanical. There's a Kelvin machine that calculates sort of Fourier type.
Yeah, well, you're getting into sort of Charles Babbage territory, aren't you, with the difference engine and the analytical engine that were effectively programmable, but not kind of. Like you could spend hours with a spanner putting in some kind of program, but yeah. Yeah, and what I love about all of this is that I always tell my students mathematicians are fundamentally lazy, and oh, that's definitely true. Yeah,
you don't want to have to do this by hand if you don't need to. So let's do it by some sort of automation. Yeah,
well, and it's understanding the process well enough to be able to automate it is part of the game. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So I am on Twitter at Steckles.
I'm at Peter Rowlett.
I'm at Christian P.
And all of us blog at a website called aperiodical.com.
If you want to get in touch with us for whatever reason, you can email at objects@aperiodical.com.
The music is Funk Game Loop by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons.